Mental health, mental well-being, and the practice of mentoring with Doug Lawrence. Hello, I'm Doug Lawrence, and welcome to the practice of mentoring. I'm an international certified mentor and have my certificate of achievement mentoring, my certificate of competence mentor from the international mentoring community, and I'm currently working on my certificate of competence journey mentor. The Journey Mentor certification will expand my practice to include mental health and mental well-being and post-traumatic stress. Today, I wanted to share with you some insights into mentoring and the world of mental health and mental well-being, and a little bit about post-traumatic stress. Silence keeps us sick. That was an interesting statement that was made in a workshop or a course that I recently took that was put on by the Mental Health Commission of Canada, and the topic was caring for others. And that statement resonated through and through. Silence keeps us sick. And the other thing that I found quite interesting was the aspect of that a mentor could in fact become or is, as we know it today, a mental health ally. And when we look at the mental health aspect, I want you to also think about it from the aspect of mental well-being. And when I talk about mental well-being, I'm also including into that package the aspect of anxiety and stress. And gosh only knows that in today's world with COVID-19, the pandemic that we're dealing with, a lot of us are dealing with anxiety and stress at a level that we aren't normally accustomed to. We may be working from home and have never experienced that before. Our significant other may be working from home at the same time that we are, and we've never had to experience that before. Each of us jockeying for a position in the house in order to have a virtual meeting and not be interrupted or distracted. We also may have been homeschooling children if we have children in the household. And so on top of it all, we have mom and dad jockeying for position within the household to be able to do their day-to-day work as they're now working from home. But on top of that, having to homeschool. And that adds more anxiety and more stress to the whole family dynamics. And this is where your mentor can step in and work with you to be able to deal with a lot of those issues, help you manage your anxiety, help you manage your stress before it begins to manage you. So the other aspect that I wanted to take a look at was post-traumatic stress. And I firsthand actually have a couple examples of how that's impacted my life. Number one, I lost my grandfather who died by suicide and who was dealing with mental illness and all of that. The other thing is that in my time during my career in the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, I too was suffering from post-traumatic stress, but didn't actually realize it until I started to do my research and started to move forward with the Journey Mentor certification, because that includes in that whole component or in that certification, that includes the Journey Mentor working in the mental health space as a mental health ally, as we've just talked about here just recently. So post-traumatic stress, one of the things when we have this conversation with people, most people say, well, you're not a counselor, you're not a psychiatrist or a psychologist. And guess what? You're absolutely correct. My function as the mental health ally is to listen and hear. And I'm currently in my mentoring practice today working with a few people that have declared that, yes, I have post-traumatic stress. And my role that I have done, and which they have found to be very supportive, is I listen and I hear. I ask the questions to make sure that I know personally that they are seeking professional help, and that's not a mentor. That is definitely a counselor, professional counselor, a psychologist, psychiatrist. And I know where the line is, where that boundary is, and I'm making sure that the relationship that I have is purely from a mentoring perspective, and I'm making sure that they are actually getting that professional help that they actually need to have in order to be able to go through that. I actually had an interesting conversation with one of my mentees that I'm working with who actually has post-traumatic stress. And one of the things that I found very touching was that they found the time they spent with me to be more beneficial. Having said that, we have to still caution to make sure, or we have to exercise caution to make sure that we don't allow that statement to overtake what is the right thing to do. And the right thing is to ensure that they still continue to seek counseling and that we're still going to be there to listen and hear and make sure they're not left on the island, so to speak, by themselves. So it's really, really important, that we're aware of that. So as you can tell, I could probably go on for a long, long period of time on this particular topic because it has become very near and dear to my heart, and I'm very, very passionate about it. But we'll save some additional stuff for another time. So in closing, I encourage you that if you're not sure, if you're comfortable with working in the mentoring space and working with post-traumatic stress, mental health, mental well-being, reach out to me and we can have that conversation. My contact information for you is you can find me on my website at www.talentc, so the word talent with the letter C on the end.ca, and go to the contact page and send me a message and you can get a hold of me that way. A lot quicker way to be able to get access to me is to send an email, and my email address is doug.lawrence, that's LAWRENCE, at talentc, so the word talent, letter C on the end, .ca. So doug.lawrence at talentc.ca. And I'd be more than delighted to have a conversation with you to explore this further. And even if you're interested finding out more about the certification process for mentoring, it's actually an independent body for mentoring certification. So we can have a conversation about that as well. And in the interim, make every minute a mentoring minute. Take care, and we'll see you next time.